All right, in this video, I wanna walk you through one little strategy that made our company over $6 million in our first 2 years of business. This changed the way I pitched to investors, the way I sold products, and now we use this inside of our emails with our sales team. When I do webinars, the whole thing, we use this little strategy. Now, previous I talked about hook, story, offer, and A/B testing. Yes, that plays into it, but this is gonna go one layer deeper to the actual psychology of the person that you're presenting to or pitching. So you guys ready to get into it? All right, let's check it out. Now for this, I'm gonna use investment fund secrets as our example. And I'm gonna use actually specifically our webinar that we ran. Our first webinar that we did, me and Mason launched, we did it on a Thursday. We did about an 1.5 to 2 hour webinar. Actually, the webinar crashed, failed. It was a crazy day. We sold there, we opened cart. We then had Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday. By Sunday night, this is when we were brand new. By Sunday night at midnight, we had made over $140,000 in our company in 4 days. This is a brand new business when we first launched Investment Fund Secrets. It was wild. Within 7 months, we had hit over $1 million in sales. And by 10 months later, we had already hit $2 million in sales. This is right when we launched Investment Fund Secrets. It went like a rocket ship. It was incredible. Now, the way we did this, by the way, we did a weekly webinar every single week. Every week on Thursday, I would go live with a brand new group of people. I'd have to do an 1.5 hour webinar. We'd talk them through this whole thing about investment fund secrets, how we do it. And I said at the end, hey, if you guys want to join, we have a mastermind. It's $2,000. If you guys want to join, it's open and from now until Sunday, you guys can join. And we have people pile in. And I learned, again, back to the stuff we talked about before, A/B testing our webinar. I try different things every single week. We try new ads and leads to get people there, in addition to hook, story, and offer. But inside of that webinar, what we discovered and found was this 3-pronged approach of why someone bought versus why someone didn't buy. And we tried to track that data, because yeah, we had some buyers, but also the majority of people didn't buy. Why was that? What stopped them from joining? Because this was the greatest thing that we'd ever made. This product was changing people's lives. Why wasn't everybody getting in it? And this is what we discovered. Now, I did not invent this. I've learned this from a bunch of different mentors and kind of put it together into my own flavor. And this actually absolutely changed our business. You guys ready for it? All right, let's dive into it. So when you talk about a webinar or a presentation or a pitch or whatever it is, you are trying to move through 3 distinct phases of this person's brain. Now, there's a great book by Oren Klaff called Pitch Anything. If you want to get good at pitching, I would highly recommend this book. Highly recommend this book. Go check it out. In the book, he talks about 3 parts of the brain. Part number 1 is what he calls the croc brain. Anytime we're approached with something new, we think, how can this thing harm us? The crocodile brain. We are worried about a crocodile coming to eat us. Whenever we're approached with something new, how can this hurt me? This is the survival part of the brain. Once we get through the croc brain, we then move to what he calls the midbrain, which is around social influence and internal stuff that we're gonna talk about in a second. And then finally to the neocortex. This is what makes humans humans. This is why humans are smart and can problem solve. The whole thing happens in the neocortex. But typically, when we get thrown into a brand new social situation or a new pitch or a new idea comes into our brain, it first hits the croc brain, it then hits the midbrain, and then finally in the neocortex brain, that's when we can really communicate and share ideas and things. We don't think it's so scary anymore. We go, okay, this thing isn't scary. It's not gonna hurt me. Let's actually discuss and problem solve this thing. Is that kind of making sense? That was a 20-second version of this entire book, but it's a great book. It's very specific on pitching. We're not gonna talk about that in this video, because the next piece goes right along with this on the way you present information. Inside of Back to My Webinar, and this was learned by a bunch of people like Russell Brunson, Steve Larson, and a bunch of other people that have done webinar training. The beginning of a typical webinar, you gotta have a lot of hooks and trees, get people interested to keep their attention, but your big goal at the beginning is to take down their vehicle concerns. The main piece of today, and I'm actually gonna put this out here, is we talk first about vehicle, we try to get over that concern. We then move to internal, and then we move to external. Just like the parts of the brain, we're gonna move through first off the vehicle, the internal false beliefs, and the external false beliefs. So let me walk you through this. So in our webinar, and as an example, I'm talking about investment fund secrets. My first goal of my webinar is to obviously establish authority and add great hooks and all those great things, but the big domino that I'm trying to get someone to believe is that funds work, period. That's it. I want them convinced on the vehicle. Funds as a vehicle works. In general, people like me or mentors or other people out there, in the past have made funds work and it's made them a lot of money. You guys have probably seen me share about Ken Griffin. Ken Griffin makes $100 million a month running his fund. Do funds work? Yes, Ken's obviously making it work. Bridger has made money running funds. All these other people have made money running funds, whether they're big or small, and I share my origin story of how that all works and all that kind of stuff, but I'm trying to convince the person that funds work, and that's all dedicated to secret number 1. And hopefully at this point I've gotten through the croc brain to the next piece, which is now internal. Okay, Bridger, I get funds work. They work for you or other people, but do funds work for me? But this is my whole second part of my webinar is dedicated to internal false belief patterns. We put this down as secret number 2 is typically, if you guys go watch my webinar, secret number 2 is dedicated to do funds work for me. And I share some great case studies of it working for other people and how it all gets put together, that you can use the fund launch formula. It doesn't matter if you're fat, skinny, tall, short, rich, or poor. There's people out there just like you that have done this. It works for your industry. It doesn't matter if you're doing crypto or a hedge fund or real estate fund or Forex fund. You guys have heard me say that before, right? I am trying to break down in your brain, okay, funds work. And you know what? I could probably do a fund too. Now, at this point, if you can get someone across this piece, that the vehicle works and it works for them. A lot of the times, a person will buy your thing or invest or whatever, but to just get the icing on the cake and get the last piece, we then move to external. This is all external factors. This is time. How much money is it going to take? This is knowledge. This is resources. Bridger, do I have legal documents? All that kind of stuff. Now, typically, a lot of people will bring up these at the beginning. They'll bring up, oh, Bridger, how much time does it take? How much money does it cost? How much knowledge is it, right? Because they want to be informed buyer. Before I answer the question of how much time, and I'll for sure answer that, no worries, but that's an external question. I can't truly answer that question unless that person already believes in the vehicle. And then once they believe in the vehicle, so I'll step back. Bridger, how much time does it take? Well, I say, first off, hold on. Let me just go back a little bit. Do you believe that funds work? Are you convinced on that? How do you feel about funds in general? Where are you at with that? Well, I like it or whatever. If I can get them to say, yes, funds work. I believe that funds have worked in the past. Okay, next phase. Do you believe that funds would work for you? Do you think, maybe you're not working with me or somebody else, but do you believe that a fund would help your business or what you're doing? Would it help you succeed whenever you're doing? And do you believe that you could do it? And I will talk to them about that next. Once they conclude, yes, I can do a fund, funds work for me. Now let's talk about time. Let's talk about money. Let's talk about knowledge. Have you ever had somebody that you've talked to and it's like a lay down sale and they're just like, oh yeah, I'm good. It's good to know the time and money knowledge, but that happens because the person was already convinced of the vehicle and already convinced internally. This little format we put everywhere. Our emails follow vehicle, internal, external. Our website, top of funnel is all vehicle related things. Internal is next, external is at the bottom. When we're answering questions, we're moving people through that logical format. Now, again, this is not a one size fits all for everything, but I like this as a framework to move people through psychology of when you're trying to convince or pitch something. So let's use another example for a fund. You're pitching your fund. Now, there's 2 ways you can approach this vehicle, internal, external. Number 1 is the vehicle that you're investing in and through. Okay, so hey, we're going to do a real estate fund and we're going to raise capital through that vehicle. First off, investor, do they already believe in real estate? And do they believe that real estate funds have worked before? You can even ask your investor, hey, have you ever invested into a real estate fund before? Yes or no? And how did it go for you? That'll give you a lot of insight for this because you might need to spend some time on, hey, okay, let's convince you of the real estate market. Let's convince you that real estate is a good thing. You're brand new to real estate. Let's figure this out first. Okay, it works for other people. Yes. Does it work for Joe Smith? Joe, can you see real estate working for you? And then finally, okay, let's talk about external thing. 2 and 20 fund or splits or carry or catch up, all that kind of stuff. What kind of involvement do you need on this? Now, a lot of investors you'll pitch are already convinced on the vehicle. They already know stocks have, yes, made people money. They just have never had a good vehicle to get into the space where they're not day trading or whatever it is. So now you're getting internal. Okay, does this work for me? And does the team that is pitching me, are they good enough to perform? Can they actually execute on what's happening here? And then that goes into external as well with your team and how you're putting together your whole company, and you can answer all those questions there. But this little strategy, vehicle, internal, external, has been crucial when we design presentations, decks. I try to put it through that lens to make sure we're answering all those questions before asking for an investment or a purchase or anything else.